Yeah, so we have this big problem in MS, and it is an enormous problem, where MS is divided up into 3 or 4 diseases. So we have what we call clinically isolated syndrome, relapsing, remitting MS, secondary progressive and primary progressive, and even some of us in the field are considering radiologically isolated syndrome as being another category. Now, these are not different diseases, they are one disease. So under the microscope, clinically and everything, these are just the spectrum of the same disease. Now, why they exist as 3 or 4 diseases is simply because the pharmaceutical industry, when they were developing the first compound, Interferon-beta, for treating MS, they wanted to do it with one trial, and there was a thing called the Orphan Drug Act. And the Orphan Drug Act allows you to license the therapy on one trial, and then you get what they call orphan drug status. And so to be an orphan disease in the United States, you have to have less than 200,000 people with a certain disease. And MS had too many people. So by what we call salami slicing it up into these categories, each category had less than 200,000. And that's how we were left with these categories. And it's not based on science, it's not based on biology, it's based on the pharmaceutical industry gaming the system to get a drug licensed. I'm not saying that was wrong back then. That was possibly a solution in terms of developing a therapy for MS, but now we're stuck with this idea that we have to do trials in every single category of patients. It's very expensive. The trials are long, makes the products more expensive, and it actually creates a problem because according to our current guidelines, once you develop progressive disease, you can't undevelop progressive disease. So what happens is you become progressive. You either have to stop treatments in certain countries that are licensed for, say, relapsing MS, and you only become eligible for 1 or 2 therapies that are licensed for progressive disease, and then becomes what I would call a dead end, a cul-de-sac, because you can't go backwards, which is ridiculous. At the end of the day, we should be treating the biology of this disease. Is it active? In other words, is there evidence of inflammation? If there is, yes, then we should be treating them with anti-inflammatories, regardless of where on the spectrum you are. And obviously, if there is no signs of activity, no inflammation, none of these treatments have been shown to make a difference in that population, so we shouldn't be using them. And we should be thinking about how do we build on top of anti-inflammatories to target the other processes that are driving what we would call worsening disability, the progressive, so the old classic progressive phase of the disease. So it has enormous implications. And also patients then feel they've got a second disease because they know that progressive disease is not that modifiable. And as soon as you label somebody with having progressive disease, you're telling them they've got to, nowhere to go, just get worse. So it's got real implications for patients with MS, unfortunately.